and get it.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Lincoln City Council meeting of Monday, May 5th, 2025. Please be advised that a copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted at the back of the chambers by the Northwest door next to the building. Let us all rise for the pledge of allegiance, followed by a short moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The order of business of the City Council is as follows. The clerk will call the items listed on the agenda. Under public hearing, anyone wishing to speak on an item must first register and sign in at the table located in the lobby. The council shall require any member of the public addressing the council to identify themselves, the name of any organization they may represent, and their address, unless the address requirement is waived to protect the security of the individual. Each speaker should state whether they are speaking in favor or in opposition to the item, and testimony is limited to 5 minutes. Anyone wishing to speak on an agenda item should come forward after the clerk reads the item and the applicant has presented. After public comments, the applicant may make one short rebuttal. After all public hearings, the council will vote on resolutions and items listed under third reading. On the second and last Mondays of the month, immediately prior to adjournment, anyone may speak on any issue not on the agenda for that day nor planned for a future agenda. We ask that all speakers strive for civility and allow the business of council to proceed unimpeded. Madam Clerk, will you read the first item of business today?
Our first item of business today for City Council meeting of Monday, May 5th, 2025 is our consent agenda, sections 1, 2, and sections 3.
All right. Is there anyone from staff here to present on an item on the consent agenda? All right. I see a couple. We'll take Director Maggie Stuckey-Ross first. Good afternoon, Director.
Good afternoon, Maggie Stuckey-Ross, Lincoln Parks and Recreation, 3131 O Street. I am here to introduce Danette Maddie, who is our nominee to serve on the Veterans Garden Memorial Advisory Council, I should say the mayor's nominee. Danette has been engaged in our programs recently and has decided to continue to support the cause and join the council. So I'll have her introduce herself and talk a little bit about her interest.
All right. Welcome.
Hello. Hi again. Thank you for having me. My name is Danette Maddie again, and my husband and I are veterans. We actually met on active duty in the 80s when Big Hair was in the first time. And I have gotten to know a few of the Veterans Advisory Committee members and just enjoy and appreciate the activities that they do, and so wanted to be a part.
Well, thank you so very much for wanting to get engaged with what we do here in Lincoln. And
Yes.
Thank you for your active duty service.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right. Are there any questions or comments for
Thank you.
the applicant? All right. Well, thank you so much again.
Thank
and look
you.
forward to having your service.
Thanks for serving.
All right. Senior Planner.
Good afternoon, Council. Paul Barnes at the Planning Department, 555 South 10th Street. The second item on consent is for appointment of Dr. Sonia Turkman, who is an assistant professor at UNL's College of Architecture since 2020. We're asking that she be appointed to the Historic Preservation Commission. Dr. Turkman teaches numerous undergraduate, graduate, and interdisciplinary courses through the College of Architecture, and has also taught architecture and design for several years at Istanbul Technical University. So I think I'll turn it over to her.
Thank you. That was a fantastic introduction.
All right.
My
Welcome.
aim is to bring my perspective to the HPC and contribute to the community stewardship of our shared resources in Lincoln, and so that we may have our cultural landmarks for future generations. So thank you again for your time, and I'd be happy to answer any questions the committee has.
All right. Are there any questions for Dr. Turkman? Councilman Duden.
Do you have any suggestions on how to improve knowledge of our historic locations?
Well, I'm actually actively trying to do that with my students. Again, I'm here representing myself as a citizen. But with my teaching, I have a Collaborate studio, which is how I got into all of this with the Lincoln Historic Preservation Commission. And so I'm trying in that small way, but I do think there are ways to be a little more outward facing and to invite more community involvement. I think any historic preservation initiative has to be supported by the community. And so I would like to see more active community involvement shortly.
All right.
Thank you very much. I think we'd like to see that in a lot of areas.
Touche.
Oh, and a diplomat to boot. Well, thank you so much and for
Thank
your
you.
willingness to serve.
Thank you.
Right. Is there anyone here in chambers who'd like to address the council on an item that is on consent? Seeing none, Madam Clerk.
I'll call item 1A, appointing Lisa Danette Matty to the Veterans Memorial Garden Advisory Council for a term to expire November 1st of 2027, introduced by Duden.
So moved.
I'll second.
Second, Carlson. Discussion? Madam Clerk.
Schob,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 1B is appointing Dr. Sonia Turkman to the Historic Preservation Commission for a term to expire April 15th of 2028, introduced by Duden.
So moved.
I'll second.
Second, Carlson. Any discussion? Madam Clerk.
Duden,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 1C is reappointing Edward Hoffman, Helen Meeks, and Lori Thomas Lee to the Telecommunication Cable Television Advisory Board for terms to expire July 1st of 2027, introduced by Duden.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Carlson. Any discussion? Madam Clerk.
Carlson,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 1D is to clarify the prior appointment of Dr. Karen Cassabaum and Kevin Koster to the Lincoln Commission on Human Rights for partial terms to expire December 31st of 2026, introduced by Duden.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Carlson. Discussion? Madam Clerk.
Bowers,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Okay.
Items 2A through 2F were introduced by Schob.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Carlson. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk.
Schob,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
All right. We can move forward to liquor resolutions, public hearing.
I'll call items 4A and B together. Item 4A and B is application of CJS 416 LLC, doing business as the Thursday Club for Class DK liquor license located at 1400 Pioneers Boulevard, Suite 150, and the related manager application of Chloe Stokes.
All right. Please come forward and welcome. Hi.
Chloe Stokes, 5524 Hunch Drive, and I'm here to hopefully get your approval for our Class DK liquor license, as well as myself for the manager.
All right, welcome. Would you mind telling us a little bit about the Thursday night
Yeah.
club?
Yep.
The Thursday
The
club.
Thursday Club, yep. So we're a beverage catering business here in Lincoln. Our bread and butters, corporate events, wedding receptions, and we're hoping to expand our offerings to be able to include the sale of alcoholic beverages. So hence the application.
All right. Any other questions from counselors?
I hope you consider other days of the week, too.
Absolutely. Just if you're wondering, the Thursday Club, because I get this question a lot, it comes from what day of the week do you feel like maybe relaxing and having a drink? And most people say, oh, Thursday. So, yeah, I did my research on that.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you.
All right. Is there anyone here in chambers who'd like to speak on this application, either in support or in opposition? Seeing none, we'll move forward. Madam Clerk.
I'll call item 4C, manager application of Angela M. Fitzgerald for Fairway Stores, Inc., doing business as Fairway Meat Market, 179, located at 3033 South 84th Street.
Welcome.
Hi, Angie Fitzgerald with Fairway Stores, 7717 South 194th Avenue.
We are just wanting to basically transfer who the liquor license is in. Our existing manager took an opportunity to go manage one of our Iowa locations. We've been here in Lincoln since 2017. I live over in Gretna. I've been a resident in Nebraska for 10 years, and I've been with Fairway for 26 years.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant? I have one. I noticed that your training is coming up in June.
Yes, I'll be doing that in June.
So who's managing the liquor application right now?
I believe it's under the previous manager.
Okay, so even though that they've taken another job, they're still
I believe
available?
they're still on it, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All
And
right,
they're still with the company. Yep.
Okay. Thank you very much. Is there anyone here in the chambers to speak on this application, either in support or in opposition? All right. Madam Clerk, let's move forward.
Item 4D is application of Avenue 6113 LLC, doing business as Arnold's for a special designated license to cover an outdoor area measuring approximately 165 feet by 75 feet at 6200 Havelock Avenue on June 7th, 2025, from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. with the rain date of June 21st of 2025.
All right. Is this applicant in the room today? All right. Would anyone like to speak on this application for a special designated license for an event on June 7th, rain date June 21? Seeing none?
Madam Chair, seeing no one else coming forward to address these 4 items, I'd like to make a motion that we approve items 4A through 4D.
I will second.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson.
Second, Carlson. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Beckius,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
All right. Let's move forward to public hearing resolutions.
I'll call item 5A, amending Lincoln-Lancaster County Air Pollution Control Regulations and Standards, proposed revisions to the Lincoln-Lancaster County Air Pollution Control Program Regulations and Standards, Article 1, Section 6, and Article 2, Section 1, 5, 7, 8, 15, 17, 18, 22, 28, and 34.
Welcome.
Thank you. Gary Bergstrom with the Lincoln Lancaster County Health Department. My apologies to the clerk for that long-winded reading. Coming here tonight to just talk about our some changes we're looking to make to our air regulations for the city and county. These would be changes really, when I think about our program and our department's mission to promote and protect public health, one of the ways we do that is to make sure that our regulations are consistent with the Nebraska Environmental Protection Act, the NDEE, Nebraska Department of Environment and Energy's air quality regulations, as well as the Federal Clean Air Act. And so from time to time, we do a regulatory review of our regulations to make sure that we're maintaining that consistency. And that's largely what we've done here. You know, some of it's cleanup, some of it's really improving that consistency. You'll see there's a lot of changes to delete language, replaced with federal references. In specific reference to those changes, I would say some of that goes back to a few years ago when we essentially did adopt essentially language to replace what we had for what we call our prevention of significant deterioration air quality permits. When we did that, a lot of that was we're referencing the state regs because we issue permits with their regulations under their direct authority. We want to make sure our regulations are really pointing to theirs and federal rules because they do a lot of reference to federal regulatory language as well. So happy to answer any questions you might have on any of the changes.
Any questions? I do have one question. Sure. I know it takes a long time to review a manual that's 70 plus pages long, so I certainly can understand. But a lot of the tables around fees were dated back on September 1st, 2025, so I'm curious if you've been charging the updated fee since September 1st, or will you now be charging the updated fee from this moment forward?
We have been charging the fees that were updated as of September. This really is to try to put them in a little bit more consumable format, I think, especially when we bring fee changes to you for approval with our biennial budget. The way that those were being handled and reflected, I think, at least for me, and I work with these regs a lot, led to a lot of confusion about what was being changed and how it was being changed. So we wanted to try and make this a little bit more clear and understandable when we make these revisions to our fees every couple of years, to be able to show that more easily to you all. And I guess the one thing I did want to add really quickly, part of our process, just so you're aware, any regulatory changes that we make, we'll first take them to our Air Pollution Control Advisory Board, really for their recommendation of approval to you, the Board of Health, and also the Lancaster County Board of Commissioners. So it's been through Air Pollution Control Advisory Board, it's been through Board of Health, and so we're bringing it to you tonight, and we'll be bringing it to the County Board tomorrow morning.
All right. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the explanation of the process.
No, you're welcome.
All right. Any other questions from councilors? All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Bergstrom. Is there anyone here in chambers today to speak on this item, either in support or in opposition? Seeing none, we'll move forward. Thank you.
I'll call item 5B, Comprehensive Plan Amendment for 25001, application of the Lincoln-Lancaster County Planning Department to amend the 2050 Lincoln-Lancaster County Comprehensive Plan to adopt the University Place Sub-Area Plan.
Welcome.
Good afternoon again. Paul Barnes with the Planning Department, 555 South 10th Street. We come before you this afternoon with a very exciting project known as the University Place Sub-Area Plan. The Planning Department undertakes sub-area planning efforts from time to time in somewhat off years when we're not doing a major update to our comprehensive plan or long-range transportation plan. So during this process, we focused on the University Place neighborhood. We had a very thorough public engagement process, and we had a very engaged stakeholder committee as well. There's a lot of good things going on in this neighborhood, and we just want to make sure the city's not in the way, but to help those move forward. So I just have a few slides here that I'd like to go through for the council and the general public. Just to orient ourselves, this is the boundary for the study area, where we have Holdridge on the south, North 56th on the east, up along Cornhusker Highway on the north, then down North 33rd Street and around East Campus. So a rather large area, but still manageable for our sub-area planning purposes. Our process began in early 2024, where we started talking with folks out in the neighborhood, businesses, residents, and starting to attend some of the various events that happen out there, which was very exciting to be an attendee at. I wanted to note that this is, this sub-area plan is being coordinated closely with efforts with the Urban Development Department. So along with this, there is a blight and extreme blight study that will come forward, as well as a redevelopment plan that will carry forward a lot of the recommendations from this sub-area plan into then a plan that will be eligible for TIF funding. Also, we do have some near-term improvements that we're working with the Creative District on. And those are really exciting to see happen. So some kind of minimal streetscape things happening along North 48th Street. As far as public input, we did do a mix of in-person and online. We find that we do have a lot of participation if we do both. We had 2 in-person open houses with over 60 attendees at each. We held a virtual open house. We conducted intercept surveys at neighborhood events, as well as the Mojave Coffee Shop, where Andrew Theroff and I spent a morning approaching people and talking to them about things they liked in their neighborhood. So that was a fun activity. We also targeted outreach to Nebraska Wesleyan students and staff, and we attended various events on their campus. And as I mentioned, we also had a stakeholder committee representing business owners and residents in the neighborhood. Through that process, the most frequent needs that came out of that were traffic calming along North 48th Street, looking at more diverse uses along North 48th, and then more quality and affordable housing throughout the neighborhood. So with that input, we really kind of organized the sub-area plan in these 3 areas. The first area is called the North 48th Street Commercial Corridor, really looking at ways to enhance that corridor to make it more inviting for people and in turn just more sustainable for businesses and people that want to visit there. One of the ways that we looked at doing that is by doing a lane reconfiguration on North 48th Street. That would, if you see on the left there, there's an existing cross-section showing the 4 lanes of traffic, 2 in each way. The proposal is to reduce that to 1 in each direction with a center turn lane and then provide some on-street parking on North 48th Street. Really bringing back that Main Street feel for the businesses that have been there and in those historic buildings for years. This would improve the pedestrian experience as well by hopefully bringing more people onto the street side rather than having them enter through all of the back doors in these buildings. And I do want to note that this would be made possible post the North 33rd and Cornhusker overpass project. When that project's under construction, North 48th is going to be a major north-south thoroughfare. We can't close both of those at the same time. So we'll be looking at designing that after. We also looked at kind of the Adams and Layton intersections of North 48th as kind of these bookends to that commercial core, that commercial district, and part of a longer-term vision when we could secure funding and possibly when those traffic signals have reached the end of their useful life, we'd look at putting roundabouts in. That would slow traffic as well as provide some entryway corridors into the district. And then we also looked at potential redevelopment opportunities throughout the corridor. You may recall that the Speedway project at North 48th and Madison is going to build some mixed use there with residential and commercial on the first floor. So we just looked at other areas that could be possibly ripe for development like that. Again, that would all be pursuant to the owners and coming to an agreement. But there are lots of opportunities along this corridor. We also looked at placemaking enhancements with the use of street art and signature lighting. You may know that this is a creative district and the first designated in the city of Lincoln. And so there's a really big desire to have more public art in this area. There are over 10 murals on various buildings throughout the district. And so we only want to help encourage that further. We also looked at better engaging a community event space on a city-owned public parking lot, looking at some improved signage as well as gateway features. You'll see on the bottom right there's an image of St. Paul Avenue. We proposed some street art from North 47th Street east to the Wesleyan campus on 50th. We actually did apply for a Bloomberg grant to do that artwork, and we should be hearing on that yet this spring. So cross your fingers. The next area for the plan is neighborhood revitalization. So this is where we could look at what city tools we have available, such as TIF, to help continued revitalization of the neighborhood. Potential uses of that TIF could be placemaking structures, signage and wayfinding, like I mentioned, facade improvements for the buildings, also historic property restoration, housing rehab, or just overall redevelopment projects throughout the district. We did, like I said, look at some redevelopment opportunities, and those are scattered throughout the district, and a lot of those are currently vacant and or underutilized sites. The last kind of umbrella for the sub-area plan is historic preservation. So University Place was not originally part of the city of Lincoln, but it was its own jurisdiction and annexed into the city in the 1920s. So we want to celebrate the historic character of those old buildings, the old homes, and come up with a way that we can preserve that history, but also celebrate the arts hub in the creative district. So what we're looking at and talking with the neighborhood about is a national register and or local landmark district. This would provide some benefits to those property owners, such as tax credits and other financial benefits, but would also preserve that history throughout the neighborhood. The city could be the lead applicant on that. We would want to work in tandem, though, with the property owners and the creative district group to make sure we're in alignment. But we do have an initial district in mind as to what that could look like, kind of along North 48th Street. And then that map shows some scattered sites throughout that could be individually eligible as well. So that is the high-level overview. I can answer any questions that the council may have.
All right. Are there any questions? Councilman Duden.
Thank you, Sandra. How much of that area is in the floodplain?
Great question. So we do acknowledge that there's floodplain existing today, and a lot of that is due to the Dead Man's Run that flows through the area. And so there is a substantial portion of, I guess you'd say like the western portion of this sub-area. And so we did have a lot of communication with LTU and Watershed on the timing of the project to help reduce that floodplain. And we're, working with the residents and property owners to convey that information out. So we do know that that project is yet to come, but once completed, it will take a substantial number of properties out of the floodplain.
And can TIF money be used in parks?
TIF is typically used for public benefit. So if that were a decision of the neighborhood and supported by you all, I think that that's definitely an eligible expense.
Okay. Thank you.
Good questions. Anyone else?
Madam Chair, I would like a moment, if I may.
Yes. Councilman Shob.
Thank you. Mr. Barnes, thanks for coming forward. I was fortunate to be able to attend the public meeting at the Gathering Grove, and I was approached by, had conversation with several of the residents there that questioned how you determine how big the sub-area plan was. Several people said University Place is a bigger neighborhood than this, and this doesn't cover all of it. Can you explain the sub-area to me and in reference to the whole neighborhood?
Sure. So typically we like to define a sub-area study by some kind of hard boundaries. So arterial roads, the East Campus District, Cornhusker Highway, those are kind of like a hard edge to the study. Surely we could have gone, over to 70th Street or expanded it further. That would have just expanded our scope beyond. We wanted to manage this process and keep it within the realm of what we had resources for. But we sure did reach out to people outside of the boundary. We reached out to Riley Elementary School, Northeast High School, and also Easter Day Rec Center. And so we weren't necessarily limited to that boundary. However, we were focused on that boundary, but we did include, major destinations and stakeholders adjacent.
The people, the residents I spoke to did live east in the area you're talking about towards 70th Street. So I appreciate your conscientious nature in that. Thank you. Okay.
Can you put that map up one more time? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I think Councilman Shob asked a very good question. I know when I looked at this map, the one thing that stood out to me, and the process was excellent, but it felt like there was a little bit of green space missing, and maybe I would have picked up on it more if the boundary had been further to the east. But how does this leave the rest of the Uni Place area? Will they also at some point get a sub-area plan if they're within the neighborhood but outside this boundary?
That's probably a conversation that we need to have with our directors. And if there is substantial support to do that, then I think we need to program that in to the timing. But, this boundary was developed from staff, but also with the stakeholder committee. So representatives of those in the area also had opportunities to comment on it and okay this as we went forward. So just to add that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Helpful. All right. Any other questions? All right. Thank you very much. Is there anyone here today in Chambers who'd like to speak on this sub-area plan, either in support or in opposition? You have a cheerleader.
Great. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Lindsay Clausen. I'm the owner of Archway Studios at 4805 St. Paul Avenue. I'm here to express my strong support for adopting the University Place sub-area plan. As someone who grew up in the area, worked the majority of my professional career there, helped establish Lincoln's first Nebraska Creative District in the neighborhood, and now owns an arts-based business there, I deeply understand the challenges the neighborhood faces, as well as its incredible potential for growth, especially in the creative sector. The business district in University Place is almost entirely small businesses, and that's part of what makes it special, but it's also what makes it vulnerable. Our district was hit hard by the COVID-19 pandemic, and then again with the long, disruptive road construction project that followed. So the businesses that are still there, that are still surviving, we are doing our best to adapt and invest in the future, but we really need the city to be a partner in that. So one of the biggest barriers that we face is the current street design. A 4-lane road runs right through the heart of the neighborhood, and it moves cars very quickly, but at the cost of safety and walkability that small businesses really rely on, and that our neighbors really appreciate in the neighborhood. The Lincoln Planning Department listened to all of the neighborhood stakeholders and residents when developing this plan, and its proposed traffic calming measures and streetscaping are really vital for transforming this neighborhood into a creative arts destination. And I think it would really not just make University Place more functional, but a more vibrant and inviting place for all. And I know that there would always be room for debate on the details of the plan, but I think adopting it is saying yes to a shared direction, a shared vision, and a shared commitment for this neighborhood as a future destination for the arts in Lincoln, and a creative community for our neighbors. So I urge you to adopt the University Place Sub-Area Plan. So let's give our small businesses, neighbors, and future generations the kind of environment where they can really thrive. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here today who'd like to speak on this plan? All right. Madam Clerk, let's move forward.
I'll call item 5C, use permit 140H, application of Christensen Companies to amend the existing use permit, reduce the rear setback requirement to 10 feet for lots in Block 7, and to allow mini warehouse as a permitted use on property generally located at Andermatt Drive and Iger Drive on west of South 88th Street.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Peyton Prody. I represent Christensen Companies and the project at Andermatt Drive and Iger Drive in Southeast Lincoln. I'll try to keep it pretty short. We are requesting 2 amendments. The first one is the rear setback, amending it from 20 feet to 10 feet. It's currently at 20 feet right now because our property is zoned commercial. The stuff to the north is zoned agriculture, so that has a 20-foot rear setback. We believe that the property to the north is going to be commercially developed and zoned within the next couple of years. So that's why we are requesting it be amended down to 10 feet. It does have a 10-foot easement back there that can't be built on, so that's why we are attempting to amend it to 10 feet instead of 0, as it could be. And then the second amendment we're requesting is just to allow mini warehouse as a permitted use, as that's required by use permit 140H.
Thank you. I'll open it up to councilors first for questions.
I kind of had one question.
Okay, Councilman Duden.
What's the definition of a mini warehouse?
The use permit requires it to be amended on there, on like the notes on the right side of use permit 140H. It has like 18 to 23 statements, whatever you want to call them, and it needs to be amended as a use.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. All right, seeing no other questions, you may have a seat.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here in chambers today who'd like to speak on this item, either in support or opposition? All right, seeing no one, then we can move forward unless you'd like your rebuttal time. All right, thank you very much. All right, Madam Clerk, let's move to the voting session.
Item 5A is amending Lincoln-Lancaster County Air Pollution Control Regulations and Standards, proposed revisions to the Lincoln-Lancaster County Air Pollution Control Program Regulations and Standards, Article 1, Section 6, and Article 2, Sections 1, 5, 7, 8, 15, 17, 18, 22, 28, and 34. Introduced by Duden.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Carlson, any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk.
Carlson?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Beckius?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Schob?
Yes.
Duden?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 5B is Comprehensive Plan Amendment 25001, application of the Lincoln-Lancaster County Planning Department to amend the 2050 Lincoln-Lancaster County Comprehensive Plan to adopt the University Place Sub-Area Plan, introduced by Duden.
So moved.
Second.
The second, Carlson, any discussion?
I got something I'd like
Yes,
to say.
Councilman Bowers.
I strongly support the adoption of the University Place Sub-Area Plan and commend the Planning Department for their thoughtful and thorough engagement process with our community. This plan represents nearly a year of extensive interactions with residents, business owners, and local leaders, capturing the unique needs, challenges, and opportunities within the University Place. This plan is a critical milestone in revitalizing one of Lincoln's historic neighborhoods and an investment into Northeast Lincoln. By addressing key areas such as land use, housing diversity, transportation improvements, including important traffic calming measures, economic growth, and community appearance, this plan provides a comprehensive framework that will guide strategic investment and decisions for years to come. Additionally, this builds on the existing work done in the University Place neighborhood, like the designation of a creative district, which bolsters local arts community, fosters creativity, and attracts visitors and investment, again, into Northeast Lincoln. As Lindsay Clausen remarked in her statement, there could always be debate about details, but this provides a good guide forward, and I think that's a really wise way to look at this. Her perspective underscores the balanced and thoughtful approach of the sub-area plan, recognizing that while details may evolve, the foundational vision is strong and necessary. So thanks for coming out and providing your words. University Place holds significant historic value and tremendous potential for growth. Adopting this plan and investing in Northeast Lincoln ensures balanced, inclusive, and sustainable development. It will enhance not just the physical appearance, but also the economic vitality and social cohesion of our community. I urge my colleagues to support this amendment to the plan and recognize it as a pivotal step towards a thriving, vibrant, and well-connected University Place neighborhood in the greater Northeast Lincoln area and a stronger Lincoln overall.
Thank you, Councilman Bowers. Anyone else? I just wanted to add just 2 cents very quickly. First, I commend the planning department. Really well done. A great, robust planning process. And I want to thank all the residents and the business owners in this area, in the Uni Place area. Thanks for being engaged, because they can ask all they want, but if no one shows up to share their thoughts and their ideas, then we don't have a very good planning process. So really, thank you so much for everyone in the area who remained engaged throughout the last year. All right, Madam Clerk.
Beckius,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 5C is use permit 140H, application of Christensen Companies to amend the existing use permit, reduce the rear setback requirement to 10 feet for lots in Block 7, and to allow mini warehouse as a permitted use on property generally located at Andermatt Drive and Eiger Drive and west of South 88th Street, introduced by Duden.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Carlson. Any discussion? Madam Clerk.
Beckius,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
All right. Let's move ahead to public hearing ordinances, second reading, and related resolutions.
I'll call items 6A, 6B, and 6C together. 6A through C is approving the labor contract between the City of Lincoln and the Lincoln City Employees Association for a term effective August 15th, 2024 through August 31st of 2026. And the related amending the pay schedule for a certain employee group by adjusting the schedules of annual, monthly, biweekly, and hourly pay range equivalents for employees of the City of Lincoln whose classifications are assigned to pay ranges prefixed by A. And the related item 6C is amending the pay schedule for a certain employee group by adjusting the schedules of annual, monthly, biweekly, and hourly pay range equivalents for employees of the City of Lincoln whose classifications are assigned to pay ranges prefixed by C.
Welcome, Director.
Good afternoon, Barb McIntyre, Human Resources Director, 555 South 10th Street, and I'm happy to come here and talk to you about this today. This LCA contract, the Lincoln City Employees Association agreement, was ratified by the union on April 14th, so now we're bringing it in front of you. I'm going to highlight some of the key changes in it, but if you have any questions, please let me know. Wages, we landed on a 2-year deal. The wage increase for 2024 is 3%, and that will go back. There'll be a retro pay on that one because it goes back to August of 2024. And then in 2025, it is also a 3% for both employee groups, the A's and the C's. We increased the shift for second shift from 70 cents to 75 cents, and on third shift from 70 cents to $1, just recognizing those overnight hours are harder to fill. We added bilingual pay. Anyone who speaks a second language who's willing to test both orally or writtenly and shows that they are proficient in that language can get some additional bilingual pay for being willing to use that in the performance of the duties to the benefit of the city when we have our customers who need that additional language services. We also added a special pay assignment in this for our crime techs. It's $50 per paycheck just to recognize that there's some specialty knowledge and certifications they need to have to do that crime tech work. So we wanted to recognize that we were asking them to do something more there. The other things we did is we just clarified some language around reporting and how we deliver those reports. The old contract said paper, it's electronic. We've been sending things electronic for a while now, so just recognizing some cleanup around language and reporting and what we're going to report to reflect current practice. The communication center, we did increase our training pay here. It used to be for someone doing dispatcher training. For a newer dispatcher, they got $7.50 an hour. And now when they're doing that dispatcher training, for any hour of training, they get another 0.5% of their pay, so 50%. So if they make, $30, it'd be $15. So it's half a regular hour pay for 1 hour of training on top of their regular hourly pay. We did put in here, we sometimes have need to reallocate someone who might be on promotion, and they will still get reallocated to that higher pay range, but they have to serve the remainder of their promotion period or probation period while they're promoted. Sorry, let me get that out. Too many P words there. Let's see what else was in here. Just some cleanup to make things a little bit easier. When you get promoted or demoted, you go to the next step up or down instead of a set percentage. There's 2.75 or 3.25 between steps, just to keep people on the steps of the pay plan. We added increase for boots from $155 to $210 and made the urban development manager also eligible for that boot allowance. Those are some of the key highlights of the changes in the contract, and unless you have questions, we are targeting to try to get this implemented by June 12th. So that's our target date. Can't swear to it yet for having it implemented to do the retro pay, assuming you guys vote yes on this at the next reading.
Thank you very much. Questions or comments from counselors?
No questions.
I really appreciated hearing that the union ratified this.
Yep, they did.
3 weeks ago. So glad to know that, and we can move forward.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone here in chambers today to speak on these items, A, B, or C? Seeing none, we'll move ahead.
I'll call item 6D, text amendment 25005, request of the planning department to amend the Lincoln Municipal Code to increase opportunities to grow and sell produce in residential and residential adjacent zoning districts by amending chapter 27.02, definitions to update the definition of greenhouse and urban garden, amending section 27.06.060, agriculture use group to allow urban gardens as a permitted use in districts where agriculture is allowed, amending section 27.62.030, agriculture use group to update the conditions for the urban gardens, and amending section 27.70.010, home occupations to clarify that selling garden produce is allowed as a home occupation.
Welcome back.
All right. Hello. Paul Barnes with the Planning Department, 555 South 10th Street. So this is a text amendment relating to urban gardens. This has been at least a conversation of staff for quite some time, and then brought forward as recommendations in the 2023-2027 Local Food System Plan. I also want to mention that it's further supported by the Climate Action Plan and also embedded throughout the City-County Comprehensive Plan. There's 3 main points that this text amendment covers. So it would allow urban gardening on residentially zoned properties by individuals. It would allow on-site sales per conditions in the text. And it would also clarify that urban gardens and sales are allowed under home occupations. This was before the Planning Commission on April 16th. They unanimously recommended approval. We've also received several letters in support of this amendment. With that, I'm going to ask Anna Edding from the City's Sustainability Office to come up and speak to this as well. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Welcome.
I'm Anna Edding. I'm the Sustainability Specialist with the Mayor's Office, 555 South 10th Street. So excited to be here and give you some additional information for this proposal. As we face growing challenges in our food systems, local solutions become increasingly important for building a healthy and connected community. Today, I'm pleased to share details of a proposal that will make it easier for residents to grow and sell fresh produce right here in their neighborhoods. So this initiative directly supports 2 key goals in our local food system plan: increasing access to healthy food for all residents, and investing in our local food and farm community to strengthen food production and security. We believe that everyone deserves access to fresh, nutritious food, and building a local food system creates a more resilient Lincoln. So food security is one of the things that we are really focused on and looking at. Currently, our city requires 1.5 million pounds of food every single day without fail. That is required to meet the dietary needs of all of our inhabitants. Right now, around 90% of our food dollars leave the state, and our grocery stores only stock a 3-day supply of food. Additionally, according to a UNL analysis, about 20 of Lincoln census tracts have low or very low access to healthy food. So all of these factors are really pointing to a need for growing more of our own food here. As Paul mentioned, we're proposing 2 specific code changes. The first would be to allow individuals and not just groups to operate urban gardens and sell produce on site in residential areas. And second, we're proposing to include urban gardening as an approved home occupation. So these changes will lead to more Lincoln residents growing and selling more local food. But beyond increasing quantity, we're really excited for the diversity that foods would become available. So as you know, Lincoln is home to a large amount of people from around the world, so bringing rich cultural traditions, including unique agricultural knowledge. Many residents have strong cultural connections to specific foods from their heritage. This proposal would allow neighbors to grow and share specialized produce that might otherwise be difficult to find locally. For example, fresh herbs from Vietnamese cooking, unique varieties of peppers from Mexico, or vegetables common in Sudanese cuisine, and so on. These gardens would really become a place where we could celebrate the cultural diversity that makes Lincoln so special. So in sum, we believe that this proposal represents a simple but very powerful change that aligns with our resilient Lincoln values, as well as creating an economic opportunity and strengthening community bonds. Thank you so much, and happy to answer any questions.
All right. Thank you much, Ms. Zeding. Are there any questions?
No, but thank you for that additional information. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Any other comments from councilors? All right. Then I'd like to open the floor up to the chamber. Is there anyone here who would like to address or speak on this issue, either in support or in opposition? Good afternoon and welcome.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Ken Winston. I'm appearing on behalf of Nebraska Interfaith Power and Light and the Nebraska Sierra Club in support of local food. My address is 1327 8th Street, Suite 300. As was previously noted, this amendment is supported by the Climate Action Plan, which was adopted, I think, 4 years ago now by this council, and also by the provisions of the Comprehensive Plan. So it's consistent with the philosophy of government for this entity. Well, this is a sustainability issue on a number of different levels. Economically, it provides benefits for local gardeners. Socially, it brings people together. I've heard Tim Renna and Kay Walter talk about all the people that come together at the Holly Hamlet, and well, obviously they can talk about it much better than I can, but I do know that gardening is something that brings people together by sharing produce and people having conversations about gardening. And as Ms. Edding indicated, it's a health and nutrition issue. I mean, local food that's grown, that's fresh, it's just better for you. It also tastes a lot better. And people are a lot more likely to eat something that's fresh and local as opposed to being something that's trucked across the country. It's an environmental justice issue because it benefits low-income and disadvantaged communities. It allows people to grow food to feed themselves, and also potentially to have some economic benefit by selling it. And it's an environmental issue as well. Using water to actually grow something that people can eat, or to sustain pollinators as opposed to just maintaining a lawn. It can reduce pesticide use that they're currently being applied to lawns. It can reduce fossil fuel use in a couple of different ways. As Ms. Edding indicated, 90% of the food travels think a lot of it travels thousands of miles, and so if you don't have to have that transportation cost, that reduces fossil fuel use. And also, there's a lot of fossil fuels that just go into mowing people's lawns, and so if more people are growing gardens instead, that can be a benefit in terms of reducing fossil fuel use. And then there's a little story. I'll just tell the abridged version of it, but it also, this is not a political issue. This is something that crosses political lines and political boundaries. There's a guy in my neighborhood who, he has different political signs than I do. I'll just put it that way. But he stopped me one day and he said, I'm going to dig up my yard. I'm going to plant a garden. And you know what? He did. He dug up his yard, and now it's all pollinators and all vegetables. And he's way ahead of me in that regard. So, but it's really interesting how growing things and how growing local food is really something that everyone can relate to. So would encourage the council to adopt this ordinance change. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? All right.
I got one question that
Yes,
the
Councilman
constituent asked me about is who's going to check these vegetables for the pesticide use, that sort of thing?
I don't
concerned about that.
I don't know the answer to that. That might be.
So
yeah,
that's why I thought I'd ask you.
Yeah, perhaps Mr. Barnes could answer that question, but I don't know the answer to that, how that would be determined. But yeah, I do know that it's not an exemption from any of the health and safety rules that are currently in place. So they're also, in terms of weeds, it's not an exemption from that either. And so they're not creating any new exemptions in terms of current
ordinances.
Current ordinances. Yes. Thank you.
Well, let's come back and note that one for staff, and you can ask staff that question. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here who'd like to address council and speak on this issue, either in support or in opposition? Good afternoon and welcome.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Kirsten Heiberger, 931 Rosewood Drive, 68510. I just want to say first, thank you all for your dedication and service to our community. I'm testifying in support of local food security on behalf of the Friends of Wilderness Park today. While food security is not an issue that Friends of Wilderness Park usually speaks on, the board was enthusiastic to officially support this amendment. We agree with the mayor's office that building local farm and food systems is an important part of creating a more resilient community. We also agree that everyone deserves access to fresh, nutritious, culturally relevant foods. Furthermore, this amendment will increase community members' ability to connect with nature in an urban environment, and that aligns with one of Friends of Wilderness Park's values, that human connection to nature is intrinsic to our physical, emotional, and spiritual health. I look forward to a vote of pass on this amendment today. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Is that it, or is there someone else? All right, seeing no one else coming forward, we will move forward. No, I will ask staff, Paul Barnes, to come back and address the question Mr. Duden raised, Councilman Duden raised.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So there are a number of health codes that are already in place. They exist in Titles 5 and 8, and so those vary from things like noise ordinances and hours of operation to the weed ordinance, and also the storage, handling, and disposal of hazardous materials. So those do exist and those would still apply. In terms of any sort of pesticides or other chemicals applied, those fall under federal and state regulations as well as what's on the label. And so those are in place as safeguards. So beyond that, I think that there are complaints that would be received and sent forward to the city. This would be a conditional use. Unless you're building something, you're not necessarily getting a permit to do it. But we wanted to kind of streamline that part of the process and make it more flexible for folks in the community. But I hope that answers your question. It would exist that way with or without this amendment.
Okay. I'll have to research a little bit deeper federally then, so thank you.
Yep.
Thank you very much. All right. Seeing no further discussion, Madam Clerk, we can move forward.
We'll call item 6E, change of zone 21020C, application Community Action Partnership of Lancaster and Saunders to amend the south of downtown planned unit development to allow sub-area 2 for neighborhood support service use with a waiver to the maximum R7 height limit from 35 feet to 40 feet on property generally located at 919 South 12th Street.
All right. Good afternoon and welcome.
Good afternoon, Chairperson Washington and members of the Lincoln City Council. My name is Heather Lockman, and I am the CEO of Community Action Partnership of Lancaster and Saunders Counties. We're located at 210 O Street. And our mission is to partner with our community in fearless pursuit of anti-poverty solutions so we all have the opportunity to live well. Our programs focus on early childhood education, homelessness prevention, financial and family well-being, and hunger relief and healthy food access. And last year, we served over 19,000 of our neighbors. Today, I'm here to talk about a plan supporting the future of one of our programs, The Gathering Place, which serves evening meals 7 nights a week to anyone experiencing hunger. Meals are prepared in-house by our small team of staff and served by volunteers on a nightly basis. And this slideshow is not showing. There we go. Perfect. All right. The Gathering Place, which was originally founded by 6 community-minded individuals in 1982 and became a program of community action in 1997. For 43 years, operations have occurred in a historic home at the intersection of Goodhue Boulevard and E Street. Within its home environment, the Gathering Place has always been much more of a meal program. It is a place to belong, a place to establish friendships, and a place of hope that has been a stabilizing force in the neighborhood. As one of our guests put it, it's everybody's house. In recent years, need for meals at the Gathering Place has grown significantly. The graph you see here demonstrates the number of meals served by month over the past 3 years. In 2022, the monthly average of meals served was 2,900. In 2024, that average increased to 4,600. This data demonstrates that need in the neighborhood is greater than ever. Community-level data tells the story of our rising numbers. The neighborhood in which the Gathering Place is situated is characterized by indicators of greater need compared to the city as a whole. 56% of residents live at or below 200% of the federal poverty guidelines, or about $64,300 for a family of 4. 96% of housing units are renter occupied, and the average household income is nearly $52,000 lower than that of the city as a whole. In this map, made available by the Community Health Endowment, we see how this need impacts residents' ability to live a long, healthy life. It is situated in the only tract in Lincoln where average life expectancy is between 55 and 60 years, or 20 to 25 years less than the average for Lancaster County. People accessing the Gathering Place live in the neighborhood and rely on it for meals, often their only one for the day. A sampling of guest data shows that 74% live within 1 to 12 blocks of us, and the same number walk to get there. Among those who use other methods of transportation, most ride their bike or use public transportation. Most of our guests are renters in the area. We love and have loved the house that we've operated in since 1982. It is a house that embodies the vision of our founders and indeed has become a home to us and our neighbors. Despite this, it is simply no longer conducive for meeting the growing needs in the neighborhood. Over the past 5 months, our team has worked closely with the City of Lincoln's Planning Department to assess the neighborhood and identify new prospective locations. While several options were considered, our search ultimately led us to this building, currently owned by NeighborWorks Lincoln, located at 919 South 12th Street. The building is double the square footage of our current and meets our top assessment priority, which was location. We know that the vast majority of those we serve at the gathering place are our neighbors, so maintaining our operation within walking distance of where they live and within blocks of our current location was of utmost importance. In confirming whether or not we were on the right track, we conducted a series of informal and formal neighborhood engagements, including with the Near South Neighborhood Association, the Everett Neighborhood Association, current gathering place guests, pop-up neighborhood engagement events, and an open house at the F Street Rec Center on April 9th. Each engagement yielded affirming words and votes of support and provided important feedback to inform our future plans. The slide here provides a summary of some of that feedback shared. Preliminary drawings have been developed, and we anticipate that the renovation will result in a $2.5 million investment in the Everett neighborhood. Our approach to the renovation will be centered on preserving and restoring original design components of the building while retrofitting the interior to meet our operational needs. Other significant enhancements will include rebuilding the front porch and constructing an addition on the west end of the building to support deliveries and accommodate an emergency exit and elevator system, which will support operational efficiencies, which currently don't exist. A slight height waiver is being requested to accommodate the addition, and we anticipate that the renovation will take 1.5 to 2 years to complete. And with that, I thank you for your attention and consideration of this request, and I will open it up to any questions. I've also brought along with me Greg Newport, who is our architect consultant on this project. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Loughlin. All right. Counselors. Councilman Beckius.
Thank you, Chair Washington. I actually don't have a question, but I just wanted to take an opportunity to say thank you to Community Action for your willingness to be flexible in space finding within the neighborhood. This is the right space, and I look forward very much to supporting the progression of this space through the planning process, and I look forward to it opening in a few years' time to continue to serve the neighborhood. So thank you for that flexibility. I appreciate it very, very much.
Thank you.
Councilman Duden.
I have a question about the height. I take it that's for the elevators?
Excuse me. Yeah, Greg Newport, 1954 A Street, Lincoln. It is for the elevator clearance, and we also have a roof deck that we're for staff use that we want to access. So that's.
Is that going to take any approval from the Capitol environment?
No, we're outside of that area.
We will be before the Historic Preservation Commission on Thursday. So it is a historic building, so and we want to maintain those historical elements to the extent possible. So we look forward to their recommendations for the project in that regard.
Very good. Yeah, thank you very much.
Well, I want to commend you both. I'm echoing Councilman Beckius's words, but you know, we're willing to be flexible when the first building got a big reaction, and I really appreciate the diligence that you went through and going and finding other properties, and I was very excited to see these plans. So I look forward to welcoming this project to this building and being there when you serve your first meal.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll have my apron on.
Yeah. All right. It may take a little bit of time. It won't happen next week, but thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Is there anyone here today in Chambers who would like to speak on this item, either in support or in opposition? Please come forward.
Hello.
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 My name is Chris Bowden. I live at 2809 Jackson Drive. I really come wearing two hats tonight. One of them is I have been a longtime volunteer at the Gathering Place. I've served dinner there for about the past 15 years on Monday nights with my church. So I've gotten to know all those people in the pictures that you saw and built relationships with lots of patrons. But I also serve as the director at the F Street Community Center here in town. So I don't come as I'm not representing the city, but I think I have a unique perspective because of my job at the F Street Community Center. we are the current gathering place is about 3 blocks away from F Street Community Center. So it's a good little distance when there are 2 feet of snow when there's 2 feet of snow on the ground and your transportation is by foot. So that does make a difference. The new proposed location is just across the street with a church between us. So we're so excited. I guess I just wanted to share how excited we are at F Street Community Center for the possibility of having them be closer neighbors. We've already done lots of collaborating staff at the gathering place. We've done problem solving about guests that we share, that we have in common, how we can meet needs because they have pretty significant needs. We're talking about children that attend McPhee and Everett elementary schools, middle school kids from Park, high school kids from all over the place, and just lots of adults, some of them housed and some of them not. So we've done some problem solving about how we can best meet needs, and we've also done some collaborating to plan the community engagement event that we had, and so many more ideas that we have for how we could work together to, we're just right there. Doesn't that seem like a beautiful thing that our neighbors, that we ask our adults to leave at 3 o'clock because that's when youth come and they have a little bit of time. So most of them head over to the gathering place and get dinner, and then they come back to the F Street afterwards. And if we were close, I just think that could really be quite a gift to our neighborhood. So that's what I wanted to share.
You think you're close to sainthood?
Oh, no, I'm not. I'm a grouch. I'm a grouch lots.
Well, thank you so much, Ms. Bowden. Really appreciate those
You're welcome.
comments. All right. Is there anyone else here in Chambers who'd like to speak on this issue? Well, seeing no one come forward, we will move ahead.
I'll call item 6F, Street and Alley Vacation 24003, application of Highway 2 Development LLC and 3814 Farnham LLC to vacate excess right-of-way portions adjacent to Pine Lake Road and Archer Place, generally located near the intersection of Pine Lake Road and Nebraska Parkway.
All right. Good afternoon and welcome.
Thank you, Chairman Washington, members of the council. My name's Rob Ott, 129 North 10th Street, Suite 313. I'm general counsel for U.S. Property and the associated companies that we manage. It is, I never thought I'd be in front of you in this succession with property along Nebraska Parkway, all requiring right-of-way vacations from either the city or the state or both, as in this case. But that's where we are. I don't really have anything to say. I'm going to answer questions. I want to thank Jacob Schlang in the planning department and Michelle Backemeyer in the traffic department. You'd be surprised how many emails it has taken between the state and the city to accomplish this task and the time that it's taken. But we finally are at the place where I think we have everybody's head nodding in approval. These are 2 little strips of property, but it just took the process. So I'm just asking for your vote in favor of this, and this is the street and alley vacation on this piece of property. And I'd stand for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Ott. I won't use your old title. Are there any questions for Mr. Ott?
Once you're a judge, you're always a judge.
No, it's
to some.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah,
I
thank you.
appreciate it. All right. Is there anyone here in Chambers who would like to speak on this item, either in support or in opposition? This is street and alley vacation. Anyone would like to speak on this? Seeing no one coming forward, then we'll move ahead.
I'll call item 7A, amending section 3.16010 of the Lincoln Municipal Code to continue the local option sales tax rate increase by 1/4% from 1.5% to 1.75% for 8 years to pay for street rehabilitation, reconstruction, and new construction of arterial streets in all quadrants of the city, introduced by Carlson.
So moved. Second.
Second, Beckius. Any conversation, discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk.
Weber,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes,
Motion carried, 7-0.
thank you.
Section 8 is resolutions first readings, items 8A through 8I. Section 9 is ordinances first reading and related resolutions, item 9A. Pending list date certain is item 10A. And our pending list section 11 is items 11A through 11E.
All right. We've reached the end of our agenda.
Madam Chair, I would move adjournment.
I'll second it.
All right, second Duden. Please call the roll.
Duden,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes,
Motion carried, 7-0.
we are adjourned.